Hey, what is up, guys? Joseph here with Noah from Noahisan on YT. Uh, and today we're going to be talking about the most underrated movies of all time, in our opinions. Noah, so how do you want to go?
Oh,
You do one and I do one. You do, or do you want to go ahead and do your list and I do mine? How do you want to do it?
let's do one by one so there's equal amount of discussion.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go first. The first movie I think is not praised enough is 1408 with John Cusack and
I forgot
Daniel
all about that
Jackson.
movie.
It's a great movie, a great psychological horror film, and I mean, it's just not really talked about. Even when it first came out, like I don't remember anybody really hyping it. Although this was a long time ago, like around 2008.
I'm glad you brought that movie up because I had forgotten all about that movie. God. And it was based on Stephen King too.
Oh, Stephen King. Good movie, good movie.
Sam Jackson playing the hotel owner. Oh
Yeah,
God, I haven't seen that movie in years. I remember the
yeah. It's
ending
been.
was confusing to me though. The
I think
ending
there's multiple endings.
it wouldn't surprise me because the ending that I don't know which one I like the um God, it's been a long time since I've seen. Can barely remember what happened. It was like John Cusack escaped the apartment and he was listening to
Yeah,
his deceased daughter on a tape recorder, and his
yeah. I saw that one
ex-wife
too.
came in and just it was it was psychological thriller is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
My first one that
Dang,
I what?
you love 1408, huh?
Yes, man. I had forgotten
You're
all about it
speech. You're
because I can't
speechless right
believe I
now.
love 1408 and I can't believe I left that out off.
That was my first movie I thought of.
Dang. Uh,
Anyway, what's
my first one is Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's movie.
Apop
Say it again.
Apocalypto?
Apocalypto, like apocalypse.
Apocalypto?
Yeah, it's with the
I've heard of it, but
I
I don't
believe
think
it's
I've
the
seen it.
Mayans. I believe it's with
Hmm.
the Mayan civilization. It's one of those ancient civilizations. I don't know how to really
I
describe it. It's basically, I honestly don't know how to describe it
have
without
seen
spoiling it for you. It's basically a
Apocalypto.
story.
Mayan kingdom is at the height of its opulence and power, but the foundations of the empire are beginning to crumble. The leaders believe they must build more temples and sacrifice more people, or their crops and citizens will die.
You know, I mean,
So
there's
that's basic.
like I honestly don't know what to say about this movie without spoiling something because there's a lot of uh, it's a very at times dark movie. The
Yeah,
only
I could
thing
tell
that
by.
I'll say that the only thing that I didn't really care for was the ending. Uh, and because it ends in a way, because it's this kind of historic movie, loosely based on like that kind of thing, loosely based on true events, whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
and it ends in a way. If you know history, you know what the ending was setting up. But I mean, it's not a pure English movie because it is in that their language, and you got to read subtitles the entire movie, but it is well worth it. Look,
You read?
huh?
You read?
Very funny.
You read a whole movie, huh?
I did it with Old Boy.
All right, the next movie on the list is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. People just hate this movie or love to hate it. I thought it was actually pretty good. And I think it's just like at a 30% something on Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic, one of those top sites. And have you seen it?
The Season of the Witch?
Yeah.
No, this is the only one I haven't seen.
It's pretty good. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers, but it's pretty good. I think the reason most people hate it is because Michael's not in it. But it's like it has like this interesting concept that's different, and I mean it's cool because it's different. Like what?
I think I've heard about it with like this, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I'm just going by what I think I remember hearing. There's this, if I can even remember what they were talking. Like I was watching a video that was, on Screen Junkies, and one of their videos had a discussion, and Halloween Season of the Witch was brought up, and the guy talking about it described what it was, and he said, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was something like a puppet was the villain, or like a henchman or something.
Not exactly.
What was it?
It has more to do with mind control.
And that's the one that Michael isn't in?
Yeah, he's not in it at all. Like it has nothing to do with Michael. They don't even hint at Michael Myers. It's just, it could have been called something totally different, I think, but.
So there's no connection whatsoever with the actual Michael Myers story?
No, not really. It doesn't even hint at Michael. It's just its own movie, pretty much.
I wonder why they called it Halloween then.
Well, I mean, it's based on Halloween, the holiday. But yeah, I recommend you watch it. I'll check out I can't even say the word. Apocalypto. I'll check that one out.
Apocalypto is a long movie. I'm not sure what the exact runtime is, but I remember it's
like 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that.
Here's like it's like, okay. Hospital emergency room, Dr. Daniel Chalice and blah, blah, blah names, the daughter of a murder victim, uncover a terrible plot by small-town mask maker Connell Cochran, a madman who's planning a Halloween mass murder utilizing an ancient Celtic ritual. The ritual involves a boulder stolen from Stonehenge, the use of silver shamrock mask, and a triggering device contained in a television commercial, all designed to kill millions of children. So that's the basic plot of Halloween 3. It's pretty interesting. I recommend you watch it.
That sounds like a movie I've seen before. I can't think of the name of it.
Plus, it's Halloween's right around the corner almost, so.
Yeah, who knows?
We'll probably catch it on.
Well, I don't think I've seen it ever on TV. Like I've seen all the other Halloween movies, but never the Season of the Witch.
On TV because that's when I watched it on TV. Is when they had all these Halloween specials, like on Vike or whatever. That's where I saw
that. I know that it used to be on Netflix. I don't think it's still on there though. It'll probably come back on
We can probably
October.
use it. Anyway, next movie.
The audio on your side is a little off.
What about now?
That's a little
Now?
better.
Now?
Okay, that's better.
Okay.
Which
Next movie.
my second movie is one I think it was my number 100 in my top 100 movies of all time, and that's Nosferatu.
The
The
old movie?
Yeah, like 1930 or
20s,
1920
30s.
something. For an old silent movie, I loved Nosferatu.
Yeah, I think I
mean,
remember you talking about it.
It's really the only silent movie that I can remember liking. Like, I've seen one of the Chaplin movies, but I haven't seen all of them. I don't remember which one it was, but I mean, one Chaplin movie, Nosferatu, I think are the only two silent movies I've ever seen.
I don't think it's exactly underrated, but I think it's forgotten.
Yeah.
Since it's so old. It was made in 1922.
22.
Or produced in 1922.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little further than that. I thought it was like late 20s, early 30s. Jeez.
Nope.
But I would categorize it as underrated just because of the general public don't even know what Nosferatu is.
Right.
I mean, it's basically Dracula.
Yeah. Next movie on the list is Chappie. Have you watched Chappie?
I stayed away from it, to be honest with you.
It's a good movie. It's not exactly underrated because it was kind of rated high, but it wasn't praised as much as District 9. And I think it's on the same level as District 9. It's interesting, it's cool. Robots are cool. I know aliens are awesome, but robots can be cool too. And the visual style is really nice. The only annoying part I think the movie has is the two rappers from I don't know how you say it, Die Antwoord. I think that's how you say it. They're a South African rap group. They could be a little annoying at times, and I can understand how people don't like it because of that particular reason. But if you look past that, I think you'll find a really enjoyable movie with a really cool concept. And said you haven't seen it, so I'd recommend you go watch it if you ever catch it.
I mean, I stayed away from it because I didn't care anything about it from the trailers. And I heard nothing but bad things about it from people online, and I mean, I didn't hear really one good thing about Chappie.
Well, I don't think you should stay away from a movie just because you hear bad things about it. I think you have to, because there's been movies that people said suck that I really like, and there's been movies that people say are awesome, but
the only time I'll listen to those kind of people that when they say don't watch this movie, blah blah blah. The only time I'll listen to them and actually stay away is if I wasn't really interested in watching in the first place. If it's something like Star Wars or Marvel or DC,
I don't think he could base stuff on trailers because a lot of times trailers have scenes that aren't even in the movie. I don't think these days trailers are represent the movie the way it should because it can have a totally different tone than what the movie actually portrays. Like sometimes the trailer just doesn't do it justice. I tend to stay away from trailers, to be honest. Like I don't really care to see trailers.
I'm starting to be on that bandwagon too. This movie is on Netflix right now. And if you haven't seen it, Noah, I don't know if you have or not, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. Zodiac.
All right. What is it?
Zodiac.
Zodiac.
Yes. Jake
Yeah, I've
Gyllenhaal,
seen it.
Robert Downey
Mark
Jr.
Rubio
Huh?
or whatever his name is.
Mark
Not
Ruffalo.
Mark Rubio. What's the guy's
Mark
name?
Ruffalo.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I said Rubio. That's a politician, I think. I got my mind still on politics. I can't help it.
I didn't know he was an actor, man.
Yeah, the Incredible Hulky.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I saw it a long time ago. I saw it when I was a kid.
How old?
Yeah. I don't know, like 8 or 9.
God, man, that's way too young to see this movie.
I watched it with my grandma. It's okay.
Jeez. I honestly don't even know where to go from there. Zodiac. But
Had parental supervision.
Zodiac is the only movie that I can think of that I have watched and I liked about the Zodiac Killer. I've seen I don't know how many documentaries and all that other stuff on the History Channel and all this other stuff online and everything, but Zodiac is really the only thing that I've enjoyed about I don't know about loosely, but based around the Zodiac Killer. I don't know how much of it was true. I don't know how much of it was false, but
It's a real case, isn't it?
Huh?
It's a real case, isn't it?
Yeah, the Zodiac Killer.
Huh.
You didn't know about the Zodiac Killer?
He's still out there.
No, he's dead. I mean,
They never arrested him.
The movie, it's not really a spoiler because I'm not saying who the killer is, but the movie ends with the Zodiac Killer was never caught and arrested and all that other stuff, like Noah said, but the person that they believe to be the killer died and all the killing stopped. All the Zodiac Killers killing stopped. So they believe that the guy who died was a Zodiac Killer. What did you think about the movie, Noah?
Sorry, I was texting. It's a good movie. I've only seen it once, so I don't remember all the tiny details, but I remember it being pretty long. It's a long movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like near. It's between like 2.5 hours to 3. I'm not sure that's just like a rough estimate of how long I think it was. I'll look it up.
I'll fact check it.
No, you go ahead and do your next one. I'll do it.
It is 2 hours 42 minutes. So yeah, almost 3 hours long.
Okay. 2 hours and how long? 40.
I remember 42 minutes.
42.
It's a long movie. It's a long movie. My next movie is The Cable Guy. I think it's one of Jim Carrey's most underrated movies. Like, people don't really... I don't think people really... I don't know. I don't know what to say about this movie. It's a good movie. I mean, I know a lot of people like it, but I don't think most people think about it in Jim Carrey's anthology or whatever. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's got Matthew Broderick too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly wouldn't classify it as good, but it's...
I loved it.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. It's a guilty movie pleasure.
Yeah.
But it's not a good movie.
I think it's a good movie.
It's not.
It's a good movie, okay? You're the one that likes Grown Ups.
It's about as good as Grown Ups.
The Cable Guy was made in 1996.
I thought it was 97.
With average reviews.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like it's an okay movie. How about that?
All right.
Like,
is this the movie where Ben Stiller works at a nursing home?
No.
Yeah, that's right.
No. That's Happy Gilmore.
Oh yeah, I remember because I just seen him as part of the cast. I'm like, wait, is he part of that movie? But I just remember. Yeah, you're right.
He's like
Happy Gilmore's grandma
Ben
was in a
Stiller
nursing
is
home.
the killer or something like that in the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
There's like a murder trial or something. He's like the killer or something. I can't remember. But I think he directed and wrote it, if I'm not mistaken.
Who, Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Well, maybe not directed, but I
Hmm.
think he wrote it.
So yeah, film directed by Ben Stiller.
Oh, he did. Okay. Um.
I didn't. Huh.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Probably the next
Yeah.
movie list.
Really, the only the main thing I didn't like about the Cable Guy was Matthew Broderick. Jim Carrey was great, but Matthew Broderick just
He's the common man. That's what Matthew Broderick always portrays. I don't know. I don't really like Matthew Broderick anyway, so
he's
it
not
didn't really
funny.
bother.
Like he's just
What?
not funny. He's just not funny to me.
Yeah, he's not.
Like the only thing he was uh, decent as being funny was Ferris Bueller.
Which most people remember him from.
Yeah, but all of his other movies are just, besides Lion King, just not good.
Let's move on to the next list and stop talking about Matthew Broderick.
My next one is a movie that I believe we watched together. I'm not sure, and that's The Way Way Back.
Of course, with Stephen, what's his name? Steve Carell.
Yeah, where he played like this.
Yeah,
the stepdad is like a jerk.
Yeah. He wasn't a jerk, was he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was a jerk. He was a nice guy. What's
Sam Rockwell, the mentor at the pool.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a pretty good movie. We did watch one together.
He was also in The Green Mile. I honestly don't want to say anything about this movie because I knew literally nothing going into it. I didn't know who was going to be in it. I didn't know what the story was or anything about it. And it was a pleasant surprise of how much I loved The Way Way Back.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Like from the acting and the story and everything like that, it's a great coming of age movie. Noah, why don't you go ahead and do your next one?
Now this one I've seen recently and I was pleasantly surprised. The Midnight Meat Train, starring Bradley Cooper.
I haven't even
heard of it, seen it. It's a great movie. It's a disgusting movie. I will give you that. It's a strange movie, yes, but it's a great movie if you haven't seen it yet. Like I said, it stars Bradley Cooper.
What's the name of it?
It's a horror flick. The Midnight Meat Train.
It sounds gross.
By Clive Barker. Clive Barker is the same person who directed the Hellraiser. Well, he didn't direct the Hellraiser movie. He directed the first Hellraiser movie, but he wrote the books called The Hellbound Heart, which the Hellraiser flicks are based on. And he also created the Candyman. Trying to look up some more info on it. It's a gross movie. If you're the fan of horror or if you have a weak stomach, I don't recommend you watch it. But I personally enjoyed it. And while we're talking about it, I guess since I don't have 10 on my list, I'll go ahead and say that the Hellraiser sequels are underrated. There's like 8 or 9 sequels to Hellraiser, and they're all not really talked about, and they're all like rated poorly. Like most of them have like a 10% on Metacritic, but there's just something about them that I really love, like the visual aspect, and I don't really get why it's rated so lowly. Like, yeah, it could be kind of stupid, and like pretty much every movie has like the same setup basically, but I don't know. It's just a personal taste, I guess. I really like it, but you seen the Hellbound Heart, right? Or Hellraiser?
I've seen the
first one. Yeah, that's pretty much only what people remember. But there's so many sequels
Oh,
that if you have the time, I
I
recommend
know
you
they
check them
were all
out.
on Netflix at
It's
one
still,
point.
yeah, but yeah. So what's next on the list?
This one is, I'm not 100% sure if people would classify this as underrated. So you just tell me, and that would be the Chronicles of Narnia: Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
That's not underrated, but I think it's forgotten.
I just classify it as underrated because when people talk about the best fantasy movies of all time, Narnia, the first Narnia movie, is one of my personal favorite fantasy movies of all time. I'm not saying it's better than Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or Star Wars or any of those others, but the first Narnia movie I love.
I like the third one.
The third one was my least favorite.
I like that one. That was cool. It had like that epic battle and like the I forget his name. It had like a one-on-one sword fight. I think that was the only Narnia movie I saw in theaters.
You sure that's not the second one?
It could be. I just remember it being the third one. I don't know.
The second
I think it
one
was.
was the third one was with the ship where they were
Then I
traveling
guess
on.
it's the second one.
The second one was with Prince Caspian,
Yeah, then I think it is the second one. Prince
yeah,
Caspian.
where it ended with Peter and Susan no longer returning to Narnia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my mistake. My mistake.
Narnia, the first one to me is one of the best fantasy movies of the 21st century, without a doubt. And it just doesn't get the recognition, I guess, that it deserves, in my opinion. So that in that way, I see it as underrated.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a good movie.
All right, what's
Let's
next on your
see.
list?
Everything Must Go.
That Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah.
That's an underrated performance by Will Ferrell.
I think the movie's underrated too. I mean, no one really talked about it.
Yeah, I'm not, like I agree with you, but I think mainly that's like an underrated performance by Will
It
Ferrell.
might possibly be one of my favorite performances by him.
Oh,
Because
I would agree.
sometimes, I mean, because like Will Ferrell and all of his comedies, don't get me wrong, he's hilarious, but he kind of just like plays the same person. And this one, it
Yeah,
felt unique. Like he actually played a character. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I'm not hating on Will at all. I think he's hilarious, but it just seems like
Like it's one of his
a lot of
very
his
few drama movies.
yeah, he needs to do more because he actually does pretty well. Uh, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it yet.
I thought it left.
I know you. No, because I just watched it on Netflix like a month or two ago. I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong. Don't. It's not written in stone, but as far as
Yeah,
I know, it's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. A great performance by Will Ferrell. Great movie.
I honestly didn't even think about Everything Must Go because it's been a long time since I've seen it. But I
Yeah,
remember
it's like a movie from 2011. I think it's pretty old.
it's somewhere around there. 2011 is pretty old. It's not that far long
It
ago.
is. That's a long time.
It doesn't
That's
feel that
old.
long. It doesn't feel that long ago. We're already
It's
halfway through the
it's
year.
it's more than half a decade old. It's 7 years old. It's from 2010. Gosh,
God, we're old.
it's almost a decade old.
Oh my God, man.
You're getting old, Joseph. You're gonna get
Both
an
of us
old
are, man.
man.
Both of us are.
No, you first, because you're older than me.
Yeah, by what? A couple of months?
Still, you're gonna be in the dirt before I am.
don't know about that now.
Statistically,
I don't know about that.
statistically speaking, you're gonna be dead before I am.
Nobody knows. My next movie is You're Next.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Joseph?
You're next.
Who, me?
No, the sheep masks.
There's a wolf mask, I think.
You sure? I thought it was sheep.
Yeah, there were sheep, but I think there's different. It was pretty much Payday without the loud music.
Yeah, but instead of the
Wouldn't you?
criminals being badasses on there, it was the actual lead female. I mean, I highly
I
recommend.
thought it was alright. It's not like the best. Wait. That movie's old too, isn't it?
I don't know, but I'm scared for you to look it up.
Dude, I remember when this movie came out. 2011! We are old. Oh my god. I remember so clearly when I saw the trailers.
Jesus, man. Stop looking up when these movies came out, man.
We are old.
2011.
Oh, is it my turn?
I just highly recommend You're Next to everybody who hasn't seen it. It's kind of like The Cabin in the Woods, where it takes the horror cliches and just flips them on its head. And that's all I'll say about it. And you go next. My God, 2011.
Have you seen Trick R, the letter R, Treat?
Treat, yes.
I love that movie.
I didn't even think about Trick or Treat. I swear, 1408 and Trick or Treat. Man, that's two movies right there that I love, but I just forgot about.
Are you ready for this? Trick or Treat was released in 2007.
Stop looking up these years, please.
Which I watched it like in 2010. I didn't watch it when it was first out. I don't think Trick or Treat's on Netflix anymore, sadly. That's where I watched it. Well, Trick or Treat it's basically like, how many different stories are there? I forget. There's multiple stories.
I think there's 3. There's the werewolf.
That sounds about right.
There's the murderer person. I'm trying to try to talk about it without spoiling what happens. There was one more.
I don't know, like, put it like
about the bus. There's like a bus thing that happened.
It's different than like your typical horror movie.
It's like one of those movies where it's.
It reminds me of. It reminds me of like you know how like in what was that TV show? Not Goosebumps, but there's like another TV show Twilight, where it had like multiple stories in one episode. Kind of. It's kind of like that, but you know, darker. Anyway, if you're like, I don't know, it's kind of nostalgic to watch because it reminds me of like the older.
It's kind of like VHS
horror movies, or not? Yeah, exactly. It has like different stories put together.
There's a word for that. I just can't think of it.
Wow, there's actually 5 stories.
What are there's the werewolves, there's the bus, there's the murderer and adult. That's the only thing I can remember.
Let me check. Yeah, me too. It's been so long since I've seen it. I only seen it once too, but I remember liking it a lot. I have to rewatch it because a lot of these movies I've only watched once and when I'm younger, so like my opinion can change as I age.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it now. There was an old man with that
I remember.
demon.
Yeah.
That's 4. And a woman who loathes the night has to contend with her holiday-obsessed husband. That one I don't really remember that much.
Anyway, I think we talked enough about the movie. It's a great movie. If you see it anywhere, make sure to give it a watch.
How many movies you got left?
One more.
What?
Let me go ahead.
What? Yeah, go ahead and do it.
So, have you seen Murder Party?
I haven't even heard of it.
Murder Party is a great movie. I don't think you've heard of it because it's more of like an independent film. So this guy accidentally gets an invitation on the street, and it has like the location, and anyone who goes to this murder party, basically they get murdered by these people. I won't go into it too much, but it's like dark comedy. Huh?
Is it a comedy?
Yeah, there's some comedy elements in it. It's like a very dark comedy. I liked it a lot. I actually watched it fairly recent, like January or February. Uh, but yeah, go check it out. You too, Joseph. Like, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it. Here, let me look up some more information on it.
Random
'Cause
invitation
that's
to a
all I.
Halloween party leads a man into the hands of a rogue collective intent on murdering him for the sake of their art, sparking a bloodbath of mishap, mayhem, and hilarity.
Yeah, they're art students.
All right, well, go ahead and get on my next four. I'm surprised you didn't mention this one. The Nice Guys.
That's not underrated.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think so.
Yeah, everybody who's seen it likes it, but it's underrated in the sense that barely anybody has watched it. Because I've talked to I don't know how many people.
I never thought of it that way, but
What do you see as underrated? What's your definition of underrated?
something that people bash just because maybe I don't know. Like, there's multiple definitions of it, in my opinion. Like, pretty much underrated to me means the first and foremost, I think, like, a movie with a bad rating that you actually liked. I think, but there's also multiple different things. Like, maybe it was highly rated, but not many people talk about it or even acknowledge its existence. That could also be underrated too, which I think in this case that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but like I think a lot of people like put it as like a let me see how much it box office. Yeah, you're right. Actually, it had a budget of $50 million and only made $57.3 million. Yeah. So they only made $7.3 million off that film. So yeah.
No, they didn't make anything.
You're right. What do you mean?
For a movie to be a success, it has to earn back 2.5 times its budget.
So basically, it flopped.
Basically.
Dang, you're right.
But I mean.
Okay, yeah. I just never really looked into it.
Yeah, I mean I talked about it more in that top 100 movies. I don't remember what number it was, but I know it was like number 95, 96, whatever. But I mean, from the chemistry between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling to the story to the amount of laughs, I mean, the
chemistry between the two characters.
Yeah. I mean, Nice Guys almost beat Deadpool as my favorite comedy of last year.
Nice.
Pun intended.
God.
It's not funny.
It's hilarious.
Not really. And my next one is, I don't think you have seen it, and that's Primal Fear.
That sounds familiar.
With Edward Norton and Richard Gere.
I don't think I've seen
it. Check it out, because there's this movie. It is really, really hard to talk about why you love it without spoiling it. And this movie I do not want to spoil. Possibly my favorite Ed Norton performance, and that's pretty much all I can say. Yeah, but definitely check this movie out, Noah.
What movie was it? The Primal Fear?
Yeah.
I've heard of this movie, but I haven't seen it.
My next movie is as a Netflix original. It's the only Netflix original movie on here that like The Nice Guys, it's not underrated in the sense that it's people hate the movie or whatever. But it's underrated in the sense that not a lot of people talk about it that I know of. If people that I've been seeing, I don't know a whole lot of people that talk about this movie, and that is Hush.
Hush. Oh yes, that's a good one. That is a Netflix original?
Yeah. I believe so.
You sure?
I believe so.
I know I've seen it on Netflix, but I didn't know it was a Netflix original. Yeah, it's a good movie.
I mean,
it's simple. It's simple too. Like,
it's essentially, I'm trying not to really spoil it, but the basic plot of the movie is there's this woman who is deaf and I believe is some kind of author or something.
Yeah, she's an
Uh,
author.
and she basically gets terrorized by uh, a burglar, and things take a unexpected turn. And just leave it at that.
It's definitely on Netflix, but
I mean,
I
I'm
don't know
looking
if
on
it's an
Netflix
original.
right now, but it's not like you know how when
It
it
would
says
say Netflix.
yeah, it doesn't show the Netflix logo.
Gotcha.
But I don't remember it being on theaters or anywhere else. Not unless it was
Yeah,
one of those things where it was like only in a limited amount of theaters. So what did you think about Hush? Oh,
I liked it. I liked how simple it was. It was a good thriller. It didn't need to be all complicated. But
it's
is
kind
that
of
the end
this.
of it?
What?
Is that the
What'd you?
last on your list?
One more. And my last one is the only animated movie on here, and that's Fox and the Hound.
Sparks and the Hound.
Fox and the Hound.
Oh, Fox and the Hound. Yeah, that movie's awesome. That
Uh,
movie's so sad. Why would you bring that movie up?
because I think Fox and the Hound is the saddest Disney movie ever.
It's the sad ever.
Um,
That's like how I found out about the emotion sadness. Like I didn't know what this grieving was when I was a kid. That's how I learned about it. The movie's so sad.
I didn't watch it. I'll be honest
Guys,
with you. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch this movie until I was like, I think I was like 12, 13 years old.
wow.
And
I watched this when I was an itty bitty kid.
it wasn't the first Disney movies that I watched, but when I watched it, oh my God, I don't remember the last time I cried that much. Um,
It's a you're gonna cry.
yeah,
I don't think you wanna watch it, guys. I don't think you wanna watch this movie.
it's like I know a lot of people
It's
say that the saddest moment in the movie is when I guess this is a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it, but with the old lady leaving Todd in the forest.
Yep.
I didn't really cry that part. I mean, it was sad, but that's not really where I cried. Really, I cried mainly with when the ending, the bittersweet ending, when trying to see if I can phrase it in a way where it doesn't spoil it. Before the ending happened, when the closing of the conflict between Todd and Copper,
Yeah.
that part was probably the biggest, most I cried during the whole movie.
Makes sense.
Um,
On an unrelated topic, did you cry at the when Wilson drifted away? Wilson.
see, only Tom Hanks could make you feel for dang volleyball.
Yeah. And then like
Um,
at the end he got like a new Wilson. It's like you can't replace Wilson. What are you doing?
I haven't
Yeah,
seen that
like
movie in years.
you felt sad for an inanimate object, you stupid idiot.
You feel sad, but at the same time, you kind of laugh a little bit because of
Yeah,
how
like
absurd this moment
it,
is.
it's sad because he has no he that was like his buddy because it had a face and that's pretty much it. It had a face.
Oh, and I just thought of another underrated movie now that we're talking about crying our eyes out. Um,
What's
Hachi.
up?
Hachi, A Dog's Tale.
I haven't seen it.
Check this movie out, Noah.
Hachi?
Yes, with Richard Gere. I knew how the movie was going to end, but I still wasn't prepared of how much it would affect me. And that's how good Hachi is. With you knowing the ending and still affected the way it would if you didn't know it, there's something to be said for that.
Well, guys, I think this concludes the podcast. Tell us what you think are your most underrated movies. Check out the films that we've listed if you have yet to see them. Any
Yes,
closing
please.
words?
I love how you took my lines. But that's gonna be it for this little video, guys. Go ahead and leave your comments down below of what you think is most underrated. As Noah said, what be sure to check these movies out if you can. We highly recommend these movies, every single one of them. I'll leave the link in the description below to Noah's channel. Go subscribe, and as always, if you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and be sure to, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, like me on Facebook at JimAsh97, follow me on Twitter at JimAsh97, links in the description below. Mash out.
Peace out, guys.